The spaceship was silent, save for the gentle hum of the engines as the protagonist, a young human engineer named Sam, tinkered with his latest project, a brand new multifunctional tool, the centerpiece of his work. It wasn't just any tool. It was designed to fix almost anything in space: busted pipes, damaged plating, even the occasional malfunctioning airlock. Sam had spent countless hours calibrating it, and though it wasn't the largest of devices, it was far from small. He had grown quite attached to it, a sentiment not exactly shared by his alien roommate Xylo. Xylo was from a distant planet in the Altara system, a race of highly intelligent beings who had never seen, let alone used, tools in the traditional human sense. Their culture was one of telepathic communication and collective problem-solving, and the idea of individual tools was entirely foreign to them. It wasn't that Xylo didn't try to understand, rather, their curiosity led to endless confusion, especially when it came to human gadgets. "Sam!" Xylo called out from the other side of their shared quarters, voice vibrating with enthusiasm. "I've been thinking about your big tool again." Sam froze, wrench in hand, his mind immediately running to the most awkward places. Xylo, I really don't think we need to." No! I've studied your species' customs, and I believe I have it figured out," Xylo continued, oblivious to Sam's growing unease. "This big tool, it must be a symbol, yes? A tool of bonding?" Sam blinked, unsure how to respond. "What?" Xylo, leaning over Sam's shoulder now, looked at the tool on the workbench with the same level of fascination someone might have while studying a sacred relic. "You told me before that this tool is used for repair. But now I'm certain it's much more than that. It's part of your, how do you say, courtship rituals?" Sam's face flushed. He had no idea what was going on in Xylo's head. "It's just a tool, Xylo," he said, trying to deflect the conversation with a chuckle. "Not whatever you're thinking." "Oh, I see," Xylo exclaimed. "So it's a shiny tool of affection, then? Like a bonding device? I've read that humans use symbols to demonstrate attachment." "No," Sam said, his voice slightly panicked. "It's a tool, not a symbol or whatever you're thinking. It's for fixing things in space. You know, pipes, wires, that sort of thing." Xylo tilted their head, clearly puzzled. "I don't understand. But surely if it's so important to you, it must be connected to your emotional energy. Your culture is so complicated," they mused aloud. Sam was starting to sweat. "It's not a symbol of anything except fixing stuff. It's a mechanical device, okay?" But Xylo was not convinced. But humans are strange. You must engage in rituals to charge the tool. That's what you were doing earlier, yes? You were charging it?" Xylo's voice had a teasing note, like they were on the cusp of some great discovery. "Charging?" Sam's voice cracked. "I was calibrating it. I wasn't." He stopped himself, realizing that no matter how he explained it, Xylo was determined to believe this was some sacred human bonding tool. He sighed, rubbing his temples. "Well, I can't imagine this is a simple tool. It must have more than one function. Perhaps it's a human tradition to use such a tool in special moments?" Xylo asked, leaning in with wide, expectant eyes. Sam was caught. His face was burning, and he could barely look at the alien without cringing. No! It's not like that," he finally managed to get out. "It's literally for space repairs. Nothing more. Please stop overthinking it." But Xylo, innocent and far too curious for their own good, was unconvinced. They didn't understand human bonding practices, so naturally, they concluded that the most complex objects Sam owned must be involved in something more intimate. Xylo nodded slowly, as though finally piecing together the mystery. "I think I understand now," Xylo said, clearly satisfied with their discovery. "It's not just a tool, it's part of your sacred connection with another being. A ritualistic offering. Like when humans, how do you say it, share energies during a union." Sam's brain froze, his mouth open as he tried to form words. "Xylo, no, what are you even talking about?" But it was too late. Xylo had already convinced themselves. I see. Xylo continued, voice brimming with excitement. I shall assist in this important ritual. I too will now bond with your tool. What? Sam practically shouted, jumping back from the bench. No! No! Please don't touch my tool! But Xylo was already reaching for the large, shiny object, intent on their mission to partake in what they believed was a human bonding practice. Sam's mind raced as he tried to come up with any way to explain that this wasn't a ritual of any kind, that the tool was, in fact, just a glorified wrench. But before he could stop them, Xylo had grabbed the tool with both hands, giving it an experimental shake. Fascinating, Xylo murmured, their eyes alight with genuine intrigue. I'm sure this must be a deeply emotional process. Humans. I think I'm beginning to understand how your kind uses these devices. Sam's face was redder than a tomato now, and he didn't know whether to laugh or scream. I'm just gonna go to the other room, he muttered, backing away slowly. No need to be shy, Xylo called after him. This is an important moment for both of us. You can't possibly be embarrassed about something this important to your species, can you? Sam turned and fled before Xylo could say anything else, leaving the alien there, happily admiring the tool, completely oblivious to the fact that Sam was about to lose his mind. That was the beginning of a series of escalating misunderstandings that would lead to even more absurd scenarios. As Sam continued to try to clarify that the big tool was simply a piece of equipment, Xylo began treating it with reverence, believing it to be the ultimate expression of human affection, resulting in hilariously awkward moments. The alien's misunderstanding was, in a way, endearing, but it was also causing Sam to rethink his decision to share a living space with someone who might literally misinterpret everything. The next few days were a blur of awkward tension. Sam couldn't even look at his big tool without a sudden surge of dread creeping up his spine. Every time he reached for it, he imagined Xylo's face, those wide, eager eyes, and it was enough to make him want to throw the thing into the nearest airlock. Unfortunately, the tool was as important as ever, and the tasks it was required for were piling up. But it wasn't just about the tool anymore. Xylo had made it abundantly clear that they wanted to learn more about this sacred, human practice. It started innocently enough. Xylo had taken it upon themselves to prepare for their first bonding ritual. They had read all the earth literature they could find, and apparently tools were an essential part of human relationships. So, naturally, Xylo assumed that the big tool was key to human emotional intimacy. It didn't help that Xylo kept bringing up physical connection in every conversation. Sam's heart skipped every time they casually dropped phrases like, energizing your tool, or strengthening the bond. What made it worse was how serious Xylo was. They weren't joking or teasing, they genuinely believed that using the tool together was a deeply spiritual experience. Sam! Xylo called, popping their head into Sam's work area one evening. I've been practicing for our bonding ritual. I think I'm ready to assist you in recharging your tool properly. Sam nearly choked on his own spit. What? He looked over at Xylo, trying to control his breathing. You can't be serious. This is ridiculous. It's a tool, Xylo. You're just going to use it to fix stuff. No spiritual, anything. Xylo, however, was utterly unfazed by Sam's growing panic. But you mentioned before that there's a ritual associated with it. A special moment for both participants. I've been preparing for it. I read about it in your species customs. You said yourself it was important. Sam rubbed his temples. This was getting out of hand. No. I did not say that. I was explaining how the tool works. That's it. It's a tool for fixing things. You can't just bond with it. But Sam, Xylo said with exaggerated patience, as if explaining something to a child. In my culture we use our minds to bond. But I've learned that humans use these objects as a means of transferring energy. They leaned in closer, eyes twinkling. You can't expect me to sit by and let this moment pass without fully engaging in the process. Sam felt a bead of sweat run down his neck. Xylo, listen to me, he said, stepping back, trying to put some physical distance between them and the damn tool. It's just a mechanical object. It's nothing like what you think. I promise you, there's no energy transfer going on. But Sam, Xylo countered, their tone turning almost pleading. I need to understand. I want to learn everything about your species, how humans bond, how you express affection. I want to know all of it. Sam's brain was overloaded. He had been trying to teach Xylo about Earth for weeks now, how humans communicate, our habits, our weird social customs. But this was beyond anything he'd anticipated. It wasn't that Xylo was doing anything wrong, they were just completely misunderstanding everything about human interaction. But they were so earnest, so genuine in their confusion, that Sam found it hard to get angry. Okay, Sam said, pinching the bridge of his nose. Let's start over, all right? I'll explain this as simply as I can. Xylo nodded enthusiastically, their antennae twitching in anticipation. The big tool, Sam began slowly, is just a tool. It's not a ritual. It's not for bonding. It's a multi-purpose device used to fix things when things break. That's all. It doesn't have anything to do with, energy transfer. Xylo was silent for a moment, their face wrinkled in concentration as they processed Sam's words. But Sam, Xylo said, tilting their head, you said you use it in intimate moments, when you need to connect with something. You calibrate it, you charge it, and you, how did you put it? Unlock its true potential. Sam froze. I never said that. I was talking about adjusting the settings for the task at hand. Well, if I'm wrong, Sam, I must apologize, Xylo said, their tones suddenly solemn. But you must understand, when I see something so important to you, it seems like something you would use to connect to another being. Sam exhaled sharply, rubbing his face with both hands. I really don't know how to make this any clearer for you. There's no connection, all right? There's no spiritual energy transfer. It's just a wrench. Xylo, however, still wasn't convinced. But Sam, I've been reading about your species for days. I know humans like to share energy through ritualistic acts, they said, clearly excited by the discovery. Perhaps this tool is part of your preliminary bonding stage before the true connection happens. You calibrate it first before you. Sam's head throbbed as he tried to find a way to stop this insanity from spiraling further out of control. But Xylo, oblivious to the tension, had already made up their mind. I'm so glad you shared this with me, Sam, Xylo said, giving a strange little bow. I'll be ready when the time comes. I'll be prepared. Sam could barely speak. No! Xylo, this is not. But it was no use. The alien had already gone off, presumably to get ready for their first ritual. Sam stood there, a mix of frustration and disbelief flooding through him. How had things gotten this out of hand? What could he possibly do to explain this to Xylo in a way that wouldn't send them further down the rabbit hole of ridiculous misunderstanding? With no other option, Sam decided to spend the night in the crew's lounge, away from the tool and away from Xylo. He needed to clear his head. But the worst part was, he knew this wasn't over. It was just beginning. That night, Sam lay awake on the couch, staring up at the ceiling, unable to escape the images of Xylo's wide, innocent eyes. He couldn't help but chuckle to himself, despite the mess he was in. This was getting out of hand, but one thing was for sure, this would be a story to tell when he finally made it home. The following morning, Sam decided he needed to take charge. The situation with Xylo had reached new heights of absurdity, and he couldn't let it spiral any further. If he didn't step in and clarify things now, there was no telling where this misunderstanding would go. He had to be firm, clear, and, above all, honest. Even though it was ridiculously awkward. But as soon as he walked into the kitchen, Xylo was there, sitting at the table, staring intently at the big tool, which was now placed delicately on a cloth like some sort of holy relic. Good morning, Sam, Xylo said, their voice cheerful and far too chipper for the conversation that was about to unfold. I've prepared myself mentally for the bonding ritual. I've been practicing my, how do you say it, acceptance of the tool. I'm ready whenever you are. Sam nearly choked on his own breath. Silo, no! I'm not ready! And this is not a bonding ritual. It's a tool. It's just for fixing things. Xylo tilted their head to the side, as if trying to process the words. You're so strange, Sam. I've read about human customs. I understand you engage in these rituals to unite your emotional energies. It's clear this is an important part of your culture. You mentioned the tool was key to the process. No! I didn't say that. Sam felt his frustration mounting. Look, let's just stop with all this. The tool is just for practical repairs. That's it. It's not a thing for bonding. It's not a thing for energy sharing or whatever you think it is. But Sam, Xylo said, their voice laced with something almost mournful. I've been trying to understand you, to learn about Earth's traditions. You say you don't have rituals like my people, but surely, every species has ways of connecting, right? Sam rubbed his temples. We do. We talk to connect. We don't need to use tools like this for intimacy. Xylo's antennae twitched, their face wrinkling in confusion. So, your tool doesn't serve any kind of bonding function at all? No. It's for fixing stuff. It has 100 different uses, none of them have anything to do with intimacy or whatever you're thinking. Xylo blinked slowly, their eyes widening in what Sam could only describe as innocent disbelief. Then what do you use to bond with others, Sam? How do you connect on a deeper level? Sam opened his mouth to explain, but the words caught in his throat. How could he possibly explain this? The whole idea of explaining human relationships to an alien who didn't even understand the concept of using physical tools was becoming increasingly ridiculous. Well, we talk to each other. And sometimes, we share time together. You know, just being together. Xylo nodded as though this made perfect sense. So no ritualistic tools are needed to bond. You just exist together. That's very intriguing. You humans are so complicated. Sam let out a strained laugh. Yeah, you could say that. But Sam, Xylo said, their voice suddenly serious. I've noticed something. Every time you pick up your big tool, there's a special energy around it. You seem to connect with it. The way your hands touch it, how you focus all your attention on it. It's clear that this tool holds deep meaning for you. Sam sighed deeply, his shoulders slumping. It's a tool, Xylo. It's not a mystical object. It's just something I use to fix stuff. Okay? That's all it is. Then why do you seem so attached to it? Xylo asked, voice filled with innocent curiosity. It's almost as though you care about it. Like it's more than just a thing. Could it be that you have some sort of relationship with it? Sam's mind was reeling. He had spent so much time trying to explain that the tool was a tool, but Xylo wasn't having it. Xylo, I'm not having a relationship with the tool. I use it because it's practical. That's it. There's nothing romantic about it. But why does it seem like you enjoy it so much? Xylo pressed. I've seen how your hands move with it, how you caress it when you're working. You revere it, Sam. I can see it in your face. You love it. Sam groaned, his face turning crimson. That's not how it is. He paused, trying to reorient himself. I like the tool because it makes my job easier, okay? It's not some sacred object of affection. Xylo was silent for a moment, their expressions serious as they regarded Sam. Then, with a sudden, enthusiastic nod, Xylo stood up. I understand now. The tool is like a prelude to the real bonding. You must practice with it before you bond with someone else. Sam froze, staring at Xylo as though they had just said the most outlandish thing in the universe. What? Xylo, no! That's not. This isn't about practice. It's a tool, just a tool. But Xylo wasn't listening. They had already jumped to their own conclusions, convinced that Sam's attachment to the tool was part of some deeper, more intimate ritual. Sam, it's okay. I'm ready. I'll bond with the tool, just like you. I want to connect with you, too. This is how it's done, isn't it? Sam was about to lose his mind. You can't bond with my tool, Xylo, he shouted, his face a mix of horror and exasperation. It's not that kind of connection. Xylo's eyes lit up with what could only be described as relief. I knew it. This tool is key to human bonding. I'll respect your customs, Sam. We'll start slow. I'm ready when you are. Sam wanted to scream. He had spent the last few hours trying to convince Xylo that the tool wasn't some magical bonding device, but at this point, it seemed clear that Xylo was too far gone. Sam looked down at the table, realizing that this was going to take a lot more than just talking. He needed a new plan, a way to shut this down before things got out of hand. And yet, as he looked up at Xylo, who was practically bouncing with excitement, Sam couldn't help but laugh, a desperate, strangled laugh. Because no matter how ridiculous this whole situation had become, it wasn't going to end anytime soon. And somehow, he was starting to feel like the universe was having one huge joke at his expense. Sam sat in the living area, his hand buried in his hair as he stared at the wall. He needed a solution, fast. Xylo had completely misconstrued everything, and now, every time Sam picked up his tool for a legitimate repair, Xylo's eager face lit up as though he were preparing for a ritualistic union. It was insane. Sam's only option now was to put his foot down, establish some boundaries, and make Xylo understand once and for all that this was not how things worked. But Xylo's innocence and enthusiasm had become almost too much to handle. How could Sam break it to them without crushing their spirit? They had been trying so hard to understand Earth culture, but each attempt had only caused more misunderstandings. Sam had to admit, though, that Xylo's unwavering dedication to figuring out human intimacy was oddly endearing. Still, this had gone far beyond cute. Okay, Sam, he muttered to himself. Time to get serious. Xylo entered, smiling brightly as always. They walked over to the couch and plopped down beside him. I've been thinking a lot about your customs, Sam, Xylo said, their voice full of enthusiasm. I know you said bonding isn't supposed to be about the tool, but I've been wondering if maybe we could try a different way. I think I'm really starting to understand the concept of bonding now. Sam sighed. The thought of another round of this conversation made him want to hide under the couch cushions. But he couldn't delay it any longer. Xylo's misunderstandings had gone too far. It was time to be blunt. Xylo, Sam said, his voice firm. I really need you to listen to me. What I've been trying to explain to you, what I need you to understand, is that humans do not need to use tools like this to form connections. We bond in ways that are, well, a bit more complex. It's about trust, communication, and shared experiences. We don't need some magical tool to make those things happen. Xylo's face remained unfazed. But Sam, I've been practicing. I watched you use your tool, and I'm convinced it's the key to unlocking these deeper connections. It's just so much more than a tool. It's like your essence is in it. Sam blinked. My essence? He rubbed his temples. Xylo, please don't make it sound like I'm in some weird love affair with a power drill. This is getting ridiculous. Xylo tilted their head again, clearly not grasping the gravity of the situation. I'm not sure I understand. You said your essence is in the tool, right? And you've been using it to bond with your environment, so logically it follows that if I join you with the tool, I will connect with you more deeply. Isn't that how it works? Sam's face was on fire. I know! Xylo! The tool is not a metaphor for bonding. I don't need to bond with you through it. I don't need to use it to prove anything about our connection. His voice was louder than he intended, and the frustration was building to an overwhelming crescendo. Xylo's eyes widened, their expression uncertain, but their curiosity was palpable. But Sam, I've seen how much you care about it. I thought, if I learned to care for the tool too, maybe it would help us both understand each other. Sam took a deep breath and leaned back, trying to collect his thoughts. This wasn't about the tool. It was about Xilo's need for clarity, and Sam's failure to provide it in a way that didn't turn everything into an intergalactic disaster. Okay, Sam said slowly, his voice softer now. Look, let me explain something. The tool is important, yes. But it's important for very practical reasons. It's a multifunctional device. It's for fixing things, spaceships, equipment, anything that breaks. It's not some relationship-building mechanism. Okay? Xilo's face remained impassive, as though absorbing the words like a sponge, but there was still a confused undertone beneath their expression. You don't use it to bond with others, then? No. It's not for bonding, Sam said with exaggerated patience. It's for fixing things that break. It's for maintenance, Xilo. Not intimacy, not connection. It's a tool. A literal, functional object designed to help with repairs. The silence stretched between them. Xilo processed, their gaze intense as though working through a complicated equation in their head. Then, without warning, their face softened. I think I understand now, Xilo said with a small, tentative smile. It's not about the tool at all, is it? It's about you. Sam's eyebrows shot up. What? Xilo nodded, a knowing gleam in their eye. It's not the tool that bonds you to others. It's the way you use the tool. I've been thinking about it all wrong. You see, I've been focusing on the object, the tool, and not the intention behind it. Sam blinked, not sure whether to be relieved or terrified. Okay, I think we're getting somewhere. But can we please, stop talking about the tool as if it's some sacred object? Xilo gave a short nod, looking almost pleased with themselves. I understand now. The tool is just an expression of your purpose in the world. It's not the thing that connects you to others. It's how you use it that reflects who you are, and that's what bonds you to others, right? Sam wasn't sure if he should be amazed or horrified by how deeply Xilo had thought about this. Well, sort of, I guess. It's about what the tool does, not what it is. It's about using your skills and your time to help others. And you don't need a tool to do that, you just need to be willing to connect with people. Xilo's face lit up. Oh, so now I understand. The tool is just a symbol of your connection. It's not the connection itself. You bond by being there for others, sharing your time and abilities. That's what makes the bond real. Sam had to admit, Xilo was closer to understanding than he'd ever hoped. It was as though a fog had cleared, and the alien was starting to make sense of the whole idea of connection. Still, Sam couldn't help but chuckle. Yeah, exactly, Sam said, a smile creeping onto his face. I'm glad we're finally on the same page. Now let's just leave the tool out of it for a while, all right? Xilo smiled back, a look of genuine understanding in their eyes. I won't bring it up again, Sam. You've taught me something important. Sam took a deep breath of relief, feeling the tension in his shoulders melt away. Thanks, Xilo. And maybe next time, just ask before assuming anything, okay? Xilo nodded enthusiastically. I'll do my best, Sam. Thank you for being patient with me. As the two of them sat there, the absurdity of the whole situation began to dawn on Sam, and a laugh bubbled up from deep in his chest. He couldn't help it. This had been the most ridiculous week of his life, but somehow, he felt like things had finally come full circle. Maybe, just maybe, he'd actually learned something along the way. And with that, Sam realized that, despite everything, he was beginning to enjoy the chaos of having an alien roommate.